You stepped in the spot.
I got a whip for myself. I'm sending niggas to the whoop because they saw the face of death. Standing right between the eyes. Then they got a big surprise 'cause when I unloaded my knife, that's when niggas started dying. So chill with the grind 'cause you're headed for the pound. When my Glock goes pop, pop, 18 times. Get up in it by my rhymes. And your mic, they go wrong when I step up to your face and tell your bitch, tell your bitch that it's hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the pool, because they saw the face of
Duke in this bitch.
between the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the back. That's when niggas started dying. So chill with the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the pool, because they saw the face of death. Standing right between the hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the back. That's when niggas started dying. So chill with the grind 'cause you're headed for the pound. When my Glock goes pop, pop, 18 times. Get up in it by my rhymes. And your mic, they go wrong when I step up to you through the cool, hard to the pool, hard to the pool, hard to the pool. Get your gas and pack up that. Get your gas and pack up that. Hard to the pool. Get your gas and pack up that. Get your gas and pack up that. I got a whip for myself. I'm sending niggas to the whoop because they saw the face of death. Standing right between the eyes. Then they got a big surprise 'cause when I unloaded my knife, that's when niggas started dying. So chill with the grind 'cause you're headed for the pound. When my Glock goes pop, pop, 18 times. Get up in it by my rhymes. And your mic, they go wrong when I step up to your face and tell your bitch, tell your bitch, tell your bitch, tell your heart.
Yeah, that's right, motherfuckers. Welcome in this. We got Zio, Duke, and Leon all the way from the UK. Biatch. It's the News Underground, motherfuckers. You found the real source of news on Twitch. Congratulations. Your search is over. Keeping it the realest. We got Clutch Cargo in this bitch. We got Ice King of Space. Got all the OG. Folks, we're going to jump right into it. Thought I would, I was just going to do exclusively Ukraine, but I do have a couple pieces of bridge updates I wanted to show you, because things got political, like because we just can't have nice things, and we also can't have disasters anymore, right? We literally can't have anything. Laura Bentley, welcome from Kick, using their real name. Usually that's a bad sign, but how are you, Laura, over there at Kick? All right, let's get to it right off the bat. Little bridge update. I know I said exclusively Ukraine, but I lied to you because I'm a liar. It's Laura. I am good. Really? Are you good? How are you doing? Well, you know how I'm not doing? I'm not a right-winger that supports an orange fascist. So I would hate for you to waste your time, Laura. Anyway, let's listen to this. This is very interesting. Police dispatch audio from the Baltimore bridge collapse. So this is, welcome back, Ribbons. I mean, knowing what happens, this makes this audio very, very intense. So this is just a minute and a half of police audio while the incident was happening. Now, apparently there are, this is not in real time. There were various long gaps of no communication that has been cut out. So this is about that whole 5-minute span where the engine cuts off and the Mayday's been sent out, that whole business. But all the dead air has been cut out. Which sometimes if you have a police scanner, or actually on your phone, you can get a police scanner app, and it's fascinating to listen to, but there'll be long, 20-minute gaps of nothing. and you'll kind of forget that it's on, and you'll be doing something else, and then boom, right, really loud. Yeah, 417. We got to race. We got to race over there at Central Hill. We need 2 officers over there immediately. That kind of shit. But no, all that dead air has been cut out. So just a heads up. All right, now listen to this. This is really great. Well, I'm sorry. It's not really great. It's really fascinating that we have access to this kind of information, and also it helps buttress this idea that there really wasn't enough time. The cops talk about the emergency crew, but it really doesn't seem like they had enough time to get a car down there to warn them and then back. It looks like they only had just a few minutes, just enough time to block traffic, and then they're like, okay, what about this crew? Okay, someone else is coming by to go get the crew, and it was already too late.
Guys on the south side, one of you guys on the north side, hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching. It just lost their steering. So until you get that under control, we gotta stop all traffic.
Yeah, I'm en route to the south side.
Dispatch start.
I'm holding traffic now. I was dragging, but we stopped prior to the bridge, so I'll have all outer loop traffic stopped.
10-4. Is there a crew working on the bridge right now?
291 to do.
Good.
Want me to stop traffic on this site right now?
Welcome back, Reed Strader.
Yeah, if we can stop traffic, just make sure no one's on the bridge right now. I'm not sure where. If there's a crew up there, you might want to notify whoever the foreman is, see if we can get them off the bridge temporarily.
Yeah, I mean, so there was just, there was the normal urgency, but they really, really did not have any idea of the total disaster that they were about to witness. Because, I mean, like, there's just no panic in their voice.
10-4. Once the other unit gets here, I'll ride up on the bridge.
See, he's waiting for the other guy to continue blocking traffic, then he was going to go warn the crew. Sorry, I was talking over him. But yeah, see, he was just waiting for backup so he could go down there. Because had the cop taken off, traffic would have flowed. He was the only one blocking traffic. Really, I mean, the perfect disaster scenario. Like, this will probably be taught in emergency, training schools.
10-4. Once the other unit gets here, I'll ride up on the bridge. I have all interloop traffic stopped at this time. Once you get here, I'll go grab the workers on the Key Bridge and then stop the outer loop.
C-13 dispatch, the whole bridge just fell down. Start is everybody. The whole bridge just collapsed.
Simple dispatch is direct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
This time.
That's correct.
Do we know if all traffic was stopped?
I can't get to the other side, sir. The bridge is down. We're going to have to get somebody on the other side, the Anne Arundel County MSP, to get up here and stop traffic coming northbound on the T Bridge.
C-13, I'm holding all traffic northbound.
So yeah, so the cop was like we got to get someone on the other side there, and he was like, no, there was already a cop over there. But I mean, just from 0 to 100 for these guys, like, oh, there's some kind of thing, it's all just, they've probably, done this many times. Oh, there's some malfunction just for everyone's safety, block traffic. And then the whole bridge just gone in seconds.
One of you guys on the south side.
Really, I mean, we're going to get to the politicization. Am I saying that correctly? We're going to get to that at the end of this coverage here of the bridge, but I just wanted to give you all the latest details that we have here. This interview is pretty damn interesting until we get to the mayor part. So like the first 2 minutes of this is pretty interesting. I live about an hour north of Baltimore. I saw a bunch of helos heading south about an hour after it happened, right after my house. It was loud. Yeah, I bet. I mean, they were calling calling all cars.
Learning new details tonight about the 2 people who survived this terrifying bridge collapse and 2 other individuals who, by a stroke of good fortune, missed the catastrophe by just minutes. Danny Freeman is out front live from Baltimore. Danny, what is the latest that you're learning about what is truly an unbelievable story of human survival?
Yeah, Brianna, the more that we're out here, the more that we learn about not only these stories of survival, but also, you mentioned it, those stories that are close calls as well. I mean, when you look at this bridge behind me, or what's left of this bridge behind me, you can imagine that enormous drop, those bitterly cold waters below, that violent collapse. And despite all of that, 2 people who were on that bridge survived.
Crazy.
It's a miraculous story of survival. We're learning new details about the construction worker who fell more than 185 feet into the water and lived.
It's the nightmare,
Jeffrey Pritzker, the executive vice president of Bronner Builders, says the Mexican national who worked for the company likely survived by swimming before being rescued by first responders. The man was treated at the University of Maryland Medical Center's Shock Trauma Center, but was released hours after the collapse. Pritzker added the worker is, quote, very, very upset. He does have injuries, and I understand he's very stressed out and is suffering from stress.
Okay.
A fellow worker from Bronner Builders told CNN Thursday the team likely would have been on their break at the time of the impact. That worker saying he requested a last-minute shift change ahead of Tuesday, likely saving his life. However, less is known about the second survivor, who Pritzker said was not part of their construction team. At Wednesday night's press conference, Maryland's Governor Wes Moore said he's spoken with a survivor who narrowly escaped with his life.
Was this the guy that just went home?
The survivors who I had the opportunity to speak with, one of the things he mentioned to me was as he was moving off of the bridge and literally saw the bridge fall right after he moved off, it was because it was a first responder who was telling him to move off of the bridge.
CNN has requested more information about this survivor from the governor's office and the Maryland Transportation Authority. Reporters asked exactly how those on the bridge were notified to get off as the vessel crashed.
We haven't seen this footage.
Well, I think we'll find out by investigation what exactly happened. I know that the one person I spoke with, he said it was audibly that the officer was telling him to move off.
We're also
yeah, he was screaming his nuts off. It sounds like
crashed.
Well, I think we'll find out by investigation what exactly happened. I know that the one person I spoke with, he said it was audibly that the officer was telling him to move off.
No, these guys were doing everything they could. They really were. The crew on the ship, the people on the bridge. This could have been much worse.
We're also hearing a story from a driver who was stopped from entering the bridge just in time.
In all honesty, if my passenger wasn't a little bit late coming out to the car and getting into it, we probably very well could have been on the bridge when it collapsed.
Right on the bridge when it happened.
We were that close.
This comes as we continue to learn more about those workers presumed and confirmed dead. 26-year-old Dorlean Castillo Cabrera's body was found in a submerged pickup truck below the wreckage Wednesday morning. He was an immigrant from Guatemala who loved his construction job. 35-year-old Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, a Mexican national, was also found in the truck next to Castillo. Miguel Luna was a father of 3, an immigrant from El Salvador who lived in Maryland for 19 years. And Maynor Yasir Suazo Sandoval was a Honduran national, a husband and father of 2.
And gee, wow, these guys, the lazy immigrant, right? Just so lazy, right? Getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or 12, they were out there at 1 o'clock in the morning or something. Hard working. It's like I'm saying, some of the most patriotic, hard working people are these migrants and immigrants coming in here. We're heavily dependent on them. So I'm so sick and tired of the fucking racism that we're going to get to. Hold your goddamn rage. Because the right wing found a way to make this about race.
Luna and Sandoval are presumed dead.
He was the breadwinner for his children right now. God is going to provide for us too, so we can get together as a family and see how we can help each other, because at this moment, his wife is left with his girl and everything.
Now, one other thing, Brianna, that I'll note that we're learning this evening from Mexican officials is that worker that we mentioned at the top of the piece who survived the collapse and was rescued, he's actually related to 2 other victims. So that means that 3 of the 8 people who were on that bridge when it collapsed earlier this week were all family members.
Tragic.
2 died.
Absolutely tragic. Just
Brianna?
Terrible.
No wonder he is beside himself. Danny Freeman live for us in Baltimore. Thank you for that report.
In Baltimore.
All right, so then I think they just recap on some of the other stuff. If you want to see the rest of this report, you can catch it here. For some reason, the AP has a live stream multiple cameras of the bridge? What do they expect? Is the bridge going to fall again? What are we were watching? What the cranes are coming in to start to remove the debris? I read that headline. Why is this here, AP? You know what they should do? They should put a live stream on the front lawn of San Francisco's Capitol building. Goddamn, can't remember the name of it. You know what I'm saying? Put a live camera on the Tenderloin in San Francisco. City Hall. Sorry, wasn't coming to me. City Hall. San Francisco has this beautiful front lawn on right in front of its City Hall. Every single day, there's dozens of cracked out drug addicts getting high, doing all kinds of disgusting things. Go ahead, put your live stream there, AP. Shame a politician. What are we doing? What are we waiting for? The goddamn Blues Brothers to come driving off the fucking end of this? Getting chased by some Nazis? What is the point of this? Live stream build? They're gonna live stream the entire rebuilding of the bridge? I doubt it. Is it gonna catch on fire? Like, what are they waiting for? Power Girl's gonna come in with a big old boob window and fucking scoop up the bridge. And if not patriotic, they toll after turning necessary. And a lot of people are watching this. The goddamn thing that can't even stream it. 132 people. They probably just have really shitty internet. Cameraman's bored as shit out there. He's like, what am I doing out here? I don't know. There's a boat. There's a tugboat over here. It is kind of fascinating. All right, I take it back. It's kind of cool. All right, I see the point now. They got a camera guy out there kind of taking, images of the cleanup. It is pretty cool. All right, fuck me. All right, so the last bit. Yeah, no, Chem Goblin, I take back everything I said. I'd love to be the cameraman. There you go. I take it all back. Immediately. That entire rant. Okay, so here we go, guys. You ready? So this terrible disaster that was, absolutely a freak of, nature. I mean, obviously, the bridge, hopefully the new bridge will be built, to better withstand something like this in the future. And I'm seeing lots of news, local news, they kind of been running this story about their local bridges, how vulnerable their bridges are to the same kind of disaster. Spoiler alert, a lot of them are. A lot of bridges are not meant to withstand that kind of weight. 5 miles an hour, 2 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour. You got tens of thousands of pounds coming in. You're gonna knock that support out. And the way that these bridges are made, sure, yeah, maybe a bridge snaps a cable or something, or the road gets cracked or something. That's one thing. We're talking about the Jenga tower. You've taken out all the blocks but one, right? We're talking about totally critical to the structure. So total freak accident. But of course, the right wing have turned this into about race. They're saying it's DEI, diversity, inclusion, and equity. Treating black people like human beings, treating, black and brown people like human beings is obviously the reason why this happened. No, I'm not kidding. They're turning this into a race thing. And, quite honestly, the absurdity of this, sometimes I like to push back against, welcome back Strategy, welcome back Borderline, Feline. Sometimes I like to push back against, the left when it likes to connect certain right-wing actions directly to racism. Sometimes it's kind of a leap. Sometimes it's like, well, you kind of have to explain what you're talking about. In this case, I think the absurdity of, because we all saw that with our own eyes. Let's not January 6th this. Let's not try to reinvent history. It was a freak accident. The captain wasn't drunk. This is not, he wasn't trying to show off for his friends. He was trying to do a spin out with with the fully loaded shipping container boat. It was a total freak accident. But the absurdity of trying to link this to anything related to race really does kind of give away the game that, you know, that we are dealing with legitimate racists, that this is you know, attempting to link this to you know, treating black people like human beings, like I said, gives up the game, shows us how blatantly racist you actually are. You know, it's interesting because, like, fucking TPUSA there, Mr. I'm just like I'm really off my game today. But the head of TPUSA, his name will come to me. He's stained in my brain. But the head of TPUSA, you know, did that whole thing about, you know, how MLK was the real racist, and you know, let's recontextualize MLK. He kind of got away with that kind of stuff. You know, it's interesting how, like, you can directly attack a very important you know, black figure like Martin Luther King and still have the wiggle room to not be considered racist, I guess, because I didn't see Joyanne Reed do much about that. Maybe because they didn't want to give him a platform. But it's driving me crazy. It's right on the tip of my tongue. TPUSA. I mean, come on. Charlie Kirk. That's okay. Yes, thank you. This guy shows up. The fucking Salt Bay shows up for TPUSA. That's hilarious. Maybe Joyanne Reed and other people of color who are on mainstream media just didn't want to give Charlie Kirk a bigger audience for his, you know, blatantly racist attempt to recontextualize MLK. It's just interesting to me, though, because, like, I don't know, this is more blatantly racist than trying to recontextualize the history of MLK for some reason. I think it's the absurdity of it, right? All right, but let's dig into it. We're not going to watch this whole thing, but this is actually a really great piece of journalism here. From your boy Mike Figurino over there at the Humanist Report. Make sure you're liking and subscribing, folks. There's the link. But he did a great job compiling a lot of these different news clips together, and narrating and writing. This takes a lot of work to compile all this. I don't have the time to do this kind of stuff. I really do appreciate Mike Figurino taking the time to knit all this together to really help, you know, drive this point home that this is absurdly racist. And it's very much a mask-off moment.
I know, and we all know, and you know very well, that black men, and young black men in particular, have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight, wealthy white men should have a say in anything. We've been the boogeyman from them since the first day they brought us to this country. Oh. And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them, because me being at my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life, of being comfortable and suffering, and while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk, and they should be afraid, because that's my purpose in life.
How do I vote for this man? Even though
you just heard from
there.
Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, who responded to tweets about him like this, where he was called a, quote, DEI mayor, and also DEI was blamed for the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, so I guess that means that he's to blame as well.
DEI did this. I mean, they say it with such certainty, and and honestly, I see this from some of the conservative-leaning people in my Discord as well. They glom onto a narrative and are just 100% certain without any real proof. Because it like, oh man, we got him. That fits the narrative really, really well. They think that. Hold on.
You just heard from Baltimore.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see the notations on some of these. Brandon Scott was elected as, so he's saying, oh, it's a DEI mayor. This person was elected because people feel sorry for black people, I guess. Brandon Scott was elected as mayor of Baltimore in 2020 with 70% of the vote. He did not come into office through any DEI practices, appointments, etc. Just total lie. You're basically saying, I'm uncomfortable with black people being in charge.
DEI mayor means that he's to blame as well, since he is a, quote, DEI mayor. Now, there were also blatantly racist
Wow, man. Wow. I don't even want to keep that on screen for very long. Holy
Memes about
shit.
him like this shared online by conservative.
Elijah Schiffer, he's one of the he does his own little right-wing fash podcasts
that are just
he's the one that laughs and thinks it's really funny that he promotes he's unashamed to promote turning the country into a Christian theology. God damn it.
Genuinely despicable. Now, much like CRT and woke, DEI is the latest buzzword on the right, and by invoking DEI, right-wingers think that they're being clever by cloaking
My brain doesn't work good today. My brain is not working well today. I'm having all kinds of problems thinking. It's like a doof, 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 doof. Like the engine in my head is sputtering right now.
Racism and concern trolling over ineffective corporate policy, but of course, we all know exactly what they mean when they invoke terms like DEI. When Brandon Scott was called a DEI mayor, No,
in some cases I'd push back against that. Like, I don't know, there's a little wiggle room there. It's no. I fully agree with this. The ship weighed over 100. Am I reading this correctly? 100,000 tons.
No, that's a synonym for another word that they want to use. But his response, I think, was absolutely perfect. DEI in this case means duly elected incumbent. And that's true because he was elected by 70% of the people in Baltimore. He wasn't some diversity hire.
Yeah, we just went into that. Anyway, let's get to the next. So, yeah, he brings up Cody Shody here, which is another great leftist show you should definitely check out. He has a link down here in his description. He said, this is the kind of shit I should do if I was, responsible. Truth Out the Nation. Where's the link to Cody Shody, homie? He said he would put a link to Cody Shody in here. He didn't. Where's the Cody Shody? Cody Shody isn't in here. Oh, you're so busted. Oh, you claim to be a leftist who cares. Look at you stealing other leftist content. What a thief.
Black person instead, thus diminishing overall standards in the name of DEI.
So Ribbons, it was escorted out by a tugboat. Normal procedure. It was, brought out to the normal area where it was supposed to, and then it was sent on its way. Normal procedure. So, no, it's a total freak accident. Like everyone did their job right. No one, this wasn't a big, cock up. Someone wasn't drunk or, it was just literally just a super freak accident, man. Super freak. I'm sorry.
Across the board, if all companies adopt this hiring practice. But here's the thing.
Thank you, Woke Patriot.
They're lying. First of all, as Cody Johnston explained in a recent episode of Some More News, which I'll link to down below.
Yeah, Some More News. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. He has a great show. Check it out. Some More News. He does a whole shtick. He's mad as hell. He's not going to take it anymore. But the difference with him is that he takes a long time to do a video because he does super deep dives. He's like the 60 Minutes of independent leftist media.
Corporations haven't really stuck to their promise of adopting more diverse hiring practices, and it was essentially corporate PR. And furthermore, to the extent that people of color end up in powerful positions, they're as qualified as their white counterparts, if not more, because oftentimes black people have to work twice as hard to get half as far. But concerns about diminished standards by right-wingers is just their way of saying, I don't want black people in white...
Right-wingers in general are some of the most cowardly, narcissistic people you could meet. Now, of course, I'm not saying the leftists are incapable of such things. But I think it's fair to say that selfish, narcissistic behavior has become, kind of the one of the driving goalposts of their political party. They organize around it. They churn those people who most exemplify those values into their heroes, into their, into their leaders. So I feel confident saying that, but I'm not over here sitting here in my West Wing bubble, watching the West Wing and MSNBC every single day, thinking that the neoliberals are somehow above any of that. But there's a certain amount of there's a difference there, is what I'm trying to bring up. What I'm trying to say. Because it's very easy to go, oh, well, they're both corrupt. They're all selfish. What are you talking about? Nancy Pelosi's super selfish. Yeah, okay. But, there's a game she has to play where she has to pretend to be progressive. And that requires her to be less selfish in her policies that she enacts. Anyway, we can get into the differences, right?
Spaces. I don't want to be around black people. And they're saying that without explicitly saying it.
Yeah. So here's Charlie Kirk right here.
Point.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the
you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
Because the left has created diversity, inclusion, and equity. We created those things because we created the concept of treating black people like human beings. We have seeded fear and doubt into their minds. It's funny because maybe some of that stuff will get a black person into the school, right? That needed help to do that, but they still have to pass those tests. They don't get a African American black person pass. Oh, you completely failed the final exam. But you're black, so here's your pilot's license. That's not how it works, and I'm almost certain that most of these people know that, but it's possible that they're stupid enough to not actually understand that. Usually when they're that stupid, it's intentional. It's intentional ignorance, like they put horse blinders on themselves. They're blaming the pilot. Yes. Yes, indeed. That's what they're they're just trying to say, when bad things happen and brown people are involved, it's because they were they got into that position because of their diversity. Of course, I guess when white people fuck up, it's because of the grace of God. I don't know. I mean, just try to put yourself in the shoes of some of the most selfish and disgusting human beings on planet Earth. It's pretty difficult to do that.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
You get on a plane, you're looking in the cockpit, you're wondering, hey, is someone competent or did they just check a lot of boxes?
Yeah, and how would one tell? What would be the criteria to tell? Right? Would it be, I don't know, the suit that they're wearing, their haircut? No, it's their skin color. It's their skin color. That's literally what he's talking about here. Son of the president.
That's kind of scary. So
you see, it's not that they're racist and think that black people are inherently inferior. Their concern is that black pilots aren't necessarily as qualified as the white pilots, and these black pilots are only there because they're diversity hires.
Right. So there you go. That's the politics of it. I don't have time to dwell on it. It's beyond absurd. I shit on the right wing every single day. I don't need another excuse, but there you go. If you want to finish this really great report from the Humanist Report, make sure you check it out. Like and subscribe, folks. He's doing great work. The whole report is banging. I wish I had time to show the whole thing. He's got all kinds of news clips and stuff in there. It's not just a rant. Much better journalist or news presenter than I am, so make sure you're checking him out. There you go. All right, as promised, Ukraine time. We got to talk about Ukraine. Ukraine news? Yeah, so, I mean, look, shit is tough right now for Ukraine. The right wing in the United States are primarily to blame, but the left wing should not be ignored because who's actually in charge? Last time I checked, it was Brandon, aka Joe Biden. Great link from your boy Chem Goblin here. Biden called for increased. I mean, okay. I just see the comments in the chat. The last thing I'm going to say, if there was any one culprit, it's probably corporate greed. It's probably corporate greed that didn't maintain that ship, that didn't make sure that engine was, delayed the safety checks one more year, right? Oh, well, that's really expensive. We have to replace the crankshaft on a diesel engine of a fucking tanker. That's going to cost us $500,000. Let's go ahead and delay the maintenance on this boat. If there was ever speculation to be made, it would be that. I mean, but no, we can't talk about that. No, because black people exist. So fuck. What are we going to do about that problem? Fucking idiots. And by the way, they're 50-50. Trump is 50-50 with Biden right now in the polls. Anyway, back to Ukraine here. Thank you again, Chem Goblin, and everyone else for your contributions to the Discord, for all your wonderful links. As you can see, I got a few of them here queued up. But yeah, I mean, this is nice. This is the kind of shit that neoliberals like to say when they do their State of the Union speeches or when they do their big speeches. And then 6 months later, it's, what? Well, oh no, that's coming right out of the middle class. So I'm not going to read this article because I'm not going to waste my time with a neoliberal promise made during the State of the Union. But I'm 1% filled with hope that this is going to lead to something. It's nice rhetoric. It's really nice rhetoric, Biden. Let's see some follow through. Moving on to the next article. Another one, I think, from Chem Goblin. No, this one's from Davey. Big props to Davey, who's not here at the moment, but thank you again, Davey, for your links. Davey, never afraid to show us Russians getting completely fucking shredded. So if you want to see Russian soldiers get completely annihilated, make sure you check out the Discord. The guy who told billionaires nothing but change and the taxes would not go up now suggests the opposite. Yeah, I know exactly, Woke Patriot. You got to have that public and private persona if you want to succeed in politics. Didn't you know that? A very wise and intelligent and successful politician once said that. Hillary Clinton. In a newly released media clip, Putin once again dismisses Ukraine's right to sovereignty by saying that he's fighting for, quote-unquote, his historical lands, which screams dictator, screams... That's some, you know, I'm staying away from the Putin Hitler stuff. That's a Hitlerian thing to say. Apparently he says it quite a bit. His historical lands. Maybe this can't be right. This has to be a mistranslation. How in the world do Russians hear their leader? You know, could you imagine if George Bush was like, my America, I love America's me and I'm America. Like, no, you're not. You're a part of America. Maybe you can represent America as president. You are not the embodiment of America. It's my country. It's my country. It's our country, right? The people? Well, the people are part of my country. Right? We'd be like, whoa, George. He says the idea that he's going to fight with NATO is complete nonsense, designed to racket money for their NATO population due to discrepancy between defense budgets. So Davey was pointing out that Putin has no inclination to fight NATO, that there's no, real zeal to do that. We see Putin make these statements quite a bit, though, about he'll make contradictory statements. So I don't think we should be lowering our shields per se, but the main reason why I'm showing this right now as proof is that this escalation argument I'm not buying. You know, like if NATO were to say go in and buttress northern Ukraine to relieve the soldiers that are on the border there, but not be in a combat role. Is Putin going to drop the nukes and start throwing chemical weapons because he starts losing? No, not nukes, but the chemical weapons would be his escalation. He's already technically using I guess technically, yeah, in some cases he has been using deadly chemical weapons. But there's no ball sack to actually engage with NATO. And if NATO or Joe Biden, even just with the U.S. military, were to, all right, okay, do it, call his bluff. Even in his current delusional, dictatorial mindset, he understands that challenging NATO and the United States in that manner, if he were to, you know, sling a couple shots, you know, drop a couple drone bombs, you know, on NATO troops on the northern border, he knows exactly what kind of hornet's nest he's fucking with. It's directed only at weapons of mass destruction, not troops on the ground. Yeah, exactly. And this whole idea that a nuke would actually change the battlefield reality is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, you might win, you know, in a Avdiivka or a Bakhmut. Technically, it's not like you're going to occupy it afterwards. But it's not, you know, you would have to drop dozens and dozens of them all at the same time at key battlefield positions. And then, of course, what the hell would happen to the population? You know, the people that you're supposed to be liberating these people while you're dropping nukes on them. So yeah, it's counterproductive. So I'm not buying this this be afraid. You know, we see these sycophants in the chat sometimes. Oh, you should be very afraid. World War III, they put in the chat. I'm not convinced. I'm really not convinced, you know, but you know, at the same time, I do understand, you know, people like Woke Patriot on the left here are like, well, we shouldn't be so flippant either. And I agree with caution, but are we helping Ukraine or not? You know, are we giving Ukraine all the tools we possibly can, or aren't we? And I would like to ask those people as well, not you, Woke Patriot specifically, but you know, just the leftists in general who would like to capitulate. And I'm not saying that's you, Woke Patriot. I know. I shouldn't have brought you up at all. I'm sorry. Because you're more nuanced. But to the leftists who want to capitulate, do they honestly believe that if the shoe were on the other foot, that if Putin had access to all the tools that the West has, that you know, with NATO, et cetera, that he wouldn't be using more of these tools? You know, that if he had the ability to sanction and cut off countries that were disobeying him, and I mean, just go down the list of all the shit that the West is kind of letting Russia get away with. If the shoe were on the other foot, would Putin and the Russian military be tying both hands behind their back, you know, sweating until the late night, worrying about escalation? You know, do we honestly feel like he'd, you know what I'm saying, hobbling himself and really, pacing back and forth, worrying about escalation, knowing that he's got a bunch of tools that are not chemical weapons, that are not nuclear weapons? Yeah, digital. Not sure what Putin would do should be the measure of our effort, but I get the point. No, I agree with that, because, yeah, it would be, you know, yes, exactly. We need to be better than the people that we're fighting. Exactly. So I don't necessarily disagree. Some people on the, you know, who are very pro-war, you know, hate the idea of this like tiptoe escalation. I think, you know, I'm okay with the tiptoe escalation, but what I'm frustrated with is like, why have we stopped? Why have we stopped? Right? Especially when there's plenty of conventional weapons and, you know, let's be frank, boots on the ground in a defensive stance, like I said, buttressing the north to allow the Ukrainian soldiers to fight in the south or in the east. Coherent screams. Oh, interesting names over here. Anyway, let's get to this. It's a piece of shit. Fucking threat. The EU posted their official statement regarding preparing for war in order for people to live in peace. Yes. Yeah, it's you know, the EU's coming around, you know, they're the invasion changed a lot of calculus for a lot of countries that were on the fence for decades. As it should. As it should. We're not talking about fringe elements. We're talking about entire governments. You know, intelligence agencies for governments and countries being like, no, we need to shift our stance for our own safety. Mashed potato. You know, I agree about 70% with you. Oh, great. What's this idiot saying? Let me know if I should ban Octopus or Optimus over here. How dare you sully the name of Optimus Prime? The great leader of the Transformers.
К нам двигались. Мы что ли через
Or the
океан
Autobots,
перебрались
I mean.
к границам Соединенных Штатов? Нет, они к нам подходят и подошли вплотную. А мы что делаем? Только защищаем своих.
Yeah, also the health worries. Are we still worried about his health? I don't know. He actually looks less puffy. I don't know what the doctor's doing to him, but he looks healthier. The problem likely causing delay reluctance for NATO boots on the ground is the difficulty defining the mission goals of such an incursion. I mean, have a fucking meeting. You know what I mean? I don't disagree with you, Woke Patriot. And I'm not like replying to you. I'm just saying, like, you know, all right, yeah, if there's some logistical problems, have a fucking meeting. Make it happen. You know what I mean? When shit is really going down, isn't it funny when a real emergency is happening and then all of a sudden all these creaky bureaucratic systems that are seized and refuse to move and are fighting amongst themselves, all of a sudden it's slick as shit. Right? All of a sudden, oh, these institutions can actually act and they know how to, and they, you know, and they're actually not afraid. And then it's just been a bunch of bullshit for the last, you know, however many years. And others are likely having meetings every day. You're right, Woke Patriot. I'm being hyperbolic. You're right. You're right. I'm sick and tired of having these brave professionals not being given the tools they need to complete this job. And you know, this whole, penny, what is it? Damn it. Pinching pennies. What was it? Penny. What's the term? It'll come to me. I'm just having a really bad day right now. All right, moving on to the next article. Exclusive. Russia increases gasoline imports from Belarus as domestic suppliers shrink. So this is just a follow-up to the reporting that I did a couple days ago, how India is, the sanctions that, that India is having to deal with, finally getting them to stop buying Russian oil, at least as much. So those are finally kicking in. So we're finally starting to see Russia's oil economy take a bigger hit. Penny wise, pound foolish. Is that term I was looking for? All right, now I got to check it. I got to look it up. Yeah. That's what it means. Yeah, the phrase penny wise, pound foolish refers to a situation where someone's overly concerned with saving small amounts of money, the pennies, but overlooks or neglects larger, more significant expenses, the pounds. So that's, sorry to belabor all this, but that's what I'm talking about. That's what it feels like with U.S. policy right now. It's penny wise and pound foolish. We have an opportunity to really put Russia in its place, not conquer Russia, not destroy Russia, but really show the characters, the actors that want to emulate Putin, that you can't just roll over these democracies. That democracy is a much stronger element than what Putin, because right now the democracies are acting exactly the way that Putin expected. Not exactly, right? There was that big surprise right at the beginning when all the West got together and vociferously said no to Putin, and he was quite surprised. Seemingly quite surprised. We don't really know, but seemingly. But, since then, the last 2 years, the West has acted exactly in the way that he predicted. The once strong unity has now been fractured by these chaotic elements of the right wing in the United States. Penny saved is a penny earned. But you do that for 30 days, and then you got 30 pennies. When you could have saved 30 pounds over 30 years. You know what I'm talking about. My brain don't work too good today. But did I get like a fucking brain injury overnight that I didn't know about? I don't know, man. Putin did not expect Patriot missile batteries at his doorstep. I think he has vastly underestimated the Western response. Initially, yeah, obviously. He expected everything to be over with in 3 days. But in the last 2 years, things, he's been able to, work his machinations really, really well. And, he's been able to really fracture the Western consensus on Ukraine. Brain booting up. Please don't turn off the body. You know what it is? I'm drinking like this Mountain Dew lemonade. I'm going to blame it on Mountain Dew lemonade. You also need to consider around the start of the war, Europe had a lot of elections. Yeah. Some of them were beneficial for Ukraine, like in Germany. Others took some time, like with Macron in France. Not sure it's secretly vodka. Thank you, Digital 2 Noise, for that follow. All right, back to this article. Exclusive, Russia increases gasoline imports from Belarus as domestic supply shrink. So I don't have time to read it. I'm not going to make you suffer through me reading it today. I'm just in a completely different time zone right now. Compared to Palestine, Western response has been pretty good for Ukraine. Yeah, well, because there's a completely different set of geopolitical motivations behind Palestine and Israel versus Ukraine, Russia. This is some of the most interesting content I've seen on Twitch in a while. Wow, Digital 2 Noise, thank you, Jesus. I'm not even close to my A game, but this is the news underground, and keeping it real is just like a natural reflex for me. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. If Putin was out of the picture, you think Russia would be more nonviolent or more so? I mean, no one can really predict that because Putin has set up a system where there's no one else but Putin. You know, there's no other, anybody, as you saw with the last elections in Russia, right? Anybody that even comes close to challenging Putin is destroyed. Characters like Dmitry Medvedev are, completely cucked, to use a technical political term. So, and the shit that comes out of Medvedev's mouth is disgusting. He's genocidal, the way that he speaks about Russia and the West. Fuck, man, I couldn't answer that question. But his war reserves are shrinking dramatically, and his economy is in shambles. It's not in shambles. And do we? They said the reserves. People were saying he was running out of missiles a year ago, and he hasn't. He's ramped up his the entire Russian military wants to fight this specific war, one of flesh and ammo, right? Throw more bodies, throw more Civil War era artillery shells. We got 600 factories all across Russia pumping them out. So the economy is not in shambles. I've shown several, during the last report especially, showing all these American companies that promised to not do business in Russia, continuing to do business in Russia using, what was it, something called parallel imports? Was that the term? It is a matter of time now. We are in an entropy physics equation now, and as Russia losing the next year, physics 2. Coherent. I like your glass half full mentality, but I think you're missing some data that would change that calculus a little bit. I don't know how I feel if Merkel would still be there. I think I'm inclined to find solutions than Schultz. Yeah. If Merkel, Merkel, if Merkel were still there, she would have tried to capitulate with Russia the longest because of their relationship, but because of the popular support for supporting Ukraine, and of course Western alliances pressuring her, she would have had to have bent the knee either way. So she got out of politics at the right time. It was funny though, as soon as she got out of politics, her entire because she was praised for her relationship with Russia, and you're so level-headed, and you're the only one that can talk to Putin. She really made a big deal, a big stink about that. She gets out of there, and the whole fucking she gets shit on from DW, dude. Not really shit on from DW, but heavily criticized. Russia will never run out of anything, at the very worst to be reduced. Yeah. No, look, yeah. Anyway, so if you want to read that, I put the link in the chat. Moving on to the next article here. I'm not going to make you listen to me read today. In one massive attack, Ukrainian missiles hit 4 Russian ships, including 3 landing vessels. Pretty goddamn good for a country without a navy. Just saying. Yeah, Coherent, I don't know where you're getting your data. 5 to 100 missiles a month? That don't sound right. That don't sound right. So, there was, this whole like speculation that, they're pulling chips out of washing machines and things like that. I think some of that was true. But whatever shortages on technology that they had at the beginning of the war, they've found other channels through India and China, etc., to find the computer chips that they need for their missiles. 50 to 100 missiles a month. Yeah, I'm going to need to see a source on that one, big guy. I agree to disagree on this economy. We'll watch over the next 6 months. I hope to see that. We might be seeing right now the seeds of that economic collapse in the next 6 to 12 months. We might be seeing the beginning of that. Maybe. I think you're missing some. Find out over the summer, maybe. Yeah. Great discussion. I agree, sir. Adjusts monocle. That's just a dumb American, but my favorite coworker. Live in Ukraine and every day. Worry about. Hey, man. See what you can do for him. All right. Try to donate. Try to send some money over. They need every penny. So yeah. Once again, I'm not going to read this shit. Just another big victory, another big dub for the Ukrainian. What do they call themselves? The Shadow Navy. Hopefully they have a really cool name. But yeah, took out. That Black Sea is just. They got all these fancy guns and they got all this fancy equipment. And they can't stop little robot boats. No one ever thought that there would be little robot boats flying up filled with TNT that explode, or whatever they're filled with, and it's probably not even TNT. Anyway, if you want to read this, it's right here. Where it screams. Okay, here we go. Strategy member. It's a little higher, but the number seems similar to one of them. Okay, all right. Well, I want to believe. I'm not trying to. Fearmonger for Russia here. I'm just trying not to be as naively hopeful as I was at the beginning of this. Number of missiles stock, the same as last year suggests. Also, Kyiv Post. So grain of salt. We got a grain of salt this one big time. We got Kyiv Post here, guys. Breakdown of missile types in Russian arsenal. They were saying this shit at the beginning. Oh, they're almost out. Oh, how are they, a massive attack on Kyiv. Oh, they won't be able to do another one of those for some time. In October, according to Skibbity Toilet here, Russia reportedly manufactured around 115 high-precision missiles with range exceeding 350 kilometers. This production breakdowns includes approximately 20, about 40. Okay, all right. Coherent screams, all right. Facts can be tough to figure out, but again, the next few months might be clear things up. Yeah, Skibaskity Toilet. All right, well, thank you very much for Strategy and Coherent Screams for giving me some extra data there. I want to believe. Dog. So, let's keep it up. If you want to read this Forbes article, here you go. Why? But, guys... Bad news. The Russian anti-air systems are successful. As you can see, so some more. You can see the Russian anti-air systems are extremely good at shooting down Russian jets. Oops. Whoops. Yeah, not Ukrainian. Not Ukrainian. What is this? The third time? It's at least the second time in a month. I have very ideological stances on these issues. Well, Chem Goblin, yeah, you're allowed to be a little biased living in Ukraine. Yeah, it's a Su-27, I believe. Yep. So this is like the second time in at least a month that they've shot down their own awkward missile defense moment. Whoopsie-doodle. Look, I don't mean to make light of someone dying here, okay? Maybe don't invade another country, as I like to say, but it's just absurd. It's just absurd. Can you imagine? you live in your country, you watch all the propaganda, you go train, you know, be proud of me, Daddy Putin. Be proud of me, Daddy Putin. And then you get shot out of the sky by your own incompetent military, dude. You know, I'm on my way to drop a bomb on a Ukrainian apartment building, just like Daddy Putin wants me to. Wait, what's this? A missile? What? I haven't even left Russian airspace. What's going on? It's just absurd. Great content creator here, by the way, Succuminius. If you would like a dry military, strategic breakdown of the whole situation, go ahead and follow that link and like and subscribe, folks. I don't have time to show it. I just wanted to show the clip once again. It's like the second or third time. Second or third. No, it wasn't. Didn't they shoot down? Yeah, they shot down their AWACS. Like their 500 ruble, super expensive radar plane. Didn't they shoot that one down? My God. That is some shocking incompetence. I'm going to save this one for the next Ukraine stream. It's kind of a long one, but I do think it's important because, you know, we often talk about the apathy of the average Russian citizen that's kind of, acquiescing in a way to this. I like to point out, though, that phenomenon is not exclusive to Russia, that, we see that exact same phenomenon over here in the States. Every democracy, almost every country is dealing with, just a apathy problem. But we can get into that later. But this gives us a window into the other side of it. The people in Russia who, if they had an opportunity to stand up, if it was safer for them to speak out, they would probably be speaking out, in public. Trigger happy anti-air defense. Corruption knows no borders. Exactly. So let's go ahead and do a follow-up on the terrorist attack that happened in Russia. And no, I don't think it's a good thing for all the new viewers who didn't see my previous coverage. I don't think religious terrorists killing people is a good thing, even if it is against the people that I'm not too pleased with at the moment. This person right here, if you want to check out the Discord, if you want to find the clip, there's images of the Russian military cutting this guy's ear off and then shoving it in his mouth, or trying to shove it in his mouth. He was still refusing to eat it. And then auctioning off the knife that they used to cut the ear off, just to give you an idea of the professionalism of the Russian military. Let's get a little update here on, look, if you don't, some people understand the history of Russian gulags and torture, and trying to understand the horror. I won't belabor the details, but these men are in. Look, I don't know, man. If you saw the footage of what these men did, you'd be hard pressed to feel bad for them about what Russia is going to do to them. Suffice it to say, though, that they will likely be wishing that they were one of their victims very soon. I don't condone it. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think people should be tortured, even my enemies, even the people that I don't like. But I just, the horror of what these four men are going to be put through, I couldn't even fathom. This guy was straight up unconscious. This guy was straight up knocked the fuck out during his, they put you in a box and bark a bunch of shit at you. Did this, you did that, In this case, these guys are, super, super fucking guilty. But, and they'll do this to political activists as well. They'll treat you like Hannibal Lecter, put you in a fucking cage. Yeah, coherent screams, definitely. Yeah, mashed potato. Yeah, I'm utterly shocked these guys were caught alive. I'm like, and also the footage, the first person. There's something suspicious about this that we don't know all the information right now, because how did that clip, that first person clip, get out so quickly? Like, even before these guys were arrested, that little snippet of that first person of them slashing that guy's throat and opening fire on cowering civilians, that got out. I'm shocked these guys were caught alive. Because that's really suspicious, because if you're caught alive, then someone's telling you that you're going to get away with this. That these guys might have been lied to in terms of, oh, you can get away. Oh, yeah, we're going to let you through. And yeah, you're an operative. And, this is some secret intelligence thing. Because usually ride or die guys like this that commit, are offing themselves. They got, all right, pistol, final clip, or magazine. Sorry, don't shoot me. You know what I mean? It's so weird that they thought that they were going to get away, that they were going to be able to cross the Belarusian border. But I'm just all speculation. I got nothing. I mean, coherent screams, I guess. I mean, that footage, someone did it. Okay, someone slashed those throats. But yeah, they were all masked up and their voices were all fucked up. Yeah. I don't think I've seen any footage of them actually saying Allah Akbar while doing it, but they were speaking fluent Arabic, I believe, or some, fluent language. I think it was Arabic. 137 people dead for 4 contractors. Okay, but I mean, it is true that first-person footage that was released, their faces were covered and the voices were scrambled. It was really creepy. Which, why would you do that? If you're a terrorist, you want to shock the world. I would get maybe the face coverings right. I don't know. I don't understand why you would do that, even because I've definitely seen terrorists who are just like, yeah, Allah Akbar, I'm here to kill. I don't need a face covering. I'm doing this for God. I'm gonna die at the end of this. I'm not hiding for anything. So there's definitely some suspicious elements here, but we got nothing to tie it all together, guys. We just have. It's a new world order. Look, you got to buy my supplement, okay? Look, it's very clearly this was Joe Biden who implemented this, who was in charge of ISIS. He invented ISIS in the 60s. Look, I have proof. If you go to Infowars.com, I have a 19-year-old intern who put together an article that can actually prove this 100% of what I'm talking about. If you don't buy my supplements, I'm going to go out of business because people sued me for Sandy Hook, for lying about Sandy Hook, and now I'm on the hook for like $1 billion. So I need you to buy as many supplements about a new world order. We got a member of the New World Order. Thank you, Ribbons. Used to be better. Used to be able to do it better. Alex Jones. I can't do it. Gotta make a cookie monster. Yeah, dude. You really should have offed yourself, dude. I mean, honestly, you're mega super fucked, man. I can't get over how fucked up he is, dude. He should have Robloxed himself, Chem Goblin. So, I mean, there you go. Terrorist update. Fuck these people. I'm not, I'm no fan of religious extremist terrorists. These people, anybody that's using God to justify violent actions. But I do believe in human rights and inalienable human rights. So I don't believe in throwing people in a hole and torturing them for the rest of their lives. I believe we should be better than the horrible people. That doesn't mean you treat them with, you know, like Anders Breivik over here with a fucking I want an Xbox 360 because my Xbox. It's like, homie, you kill 50 fucking children. You should get bread and water, dude. You should get bread and water, and a window 10 feet in the air that you can't see out of. That's the kind of human rights you deserve. So it's complicated, right? But it's like I don't support, it's like I don't support the prison industrial complex in the United States either. You know, people like to joke about how men get raped in prison. It's not fucking cool. Yeah, modern day people love anarchism. Problem is sick guy, sick religion, or our revolution very hard. What? Religious extremists don't believe in anarchism. They believe in, a very rigid theocratic style authoritarian governments. They're pretty far from anarchists, religious extremists, quite frankly. Oh God, he did it again, folks. Why do he keeps posting it, and I just new clip.
It's a new world order. Look, you got to buy my supplement, okay? Look, it's very clearly this was Joe Biden who implemented this, who was in charge.
Yeah, we saw it the first time. All right. Thank you, strategy member. Go ahead and share those clips online if you want to embarrass me, I guess. I don't know. New clip, new voice. I used to have a really good Alex Jones. It just went away. My Bill Clinton went away too. I used to do a Hillary. I used to do like a Bill Clinton really well. He's gone. They just disappear. I used to do a really good George Bush. Completely gone. He's completely gone. I can still kind of do I can China. I can kind of do a Trump. Wow. Why is this here? Okay. This is for my Gaza section here. Israeli soldier bragging about rape, I believe. We'll get to that tomorrow, so look forward to that. This is from Davy. These are some IDF soldiers who are, traipsing through a home that they are likely going to destroy and bulldoze. Palestinian civilians used to live here. And now they're flushing out the remainder of Hamas. I'm no fan of Hamas, and I'm not going to be foolish enough to call them freedom fighters. Of course, it's also fair to say that there are more. It's more than Hamas who is slinging bullets over here at the IDF. There's actually a lot of legitimate resistance splinter groups inside Rafah right now that are not really associated with Hamas. So it's really hard to tell who's doing the shooting here. But this just gives you an idea of, this is why Israel would prefer to just drop a bomb on the building and be done with it. Civilians be damned, because this is, when the West is saying, okay, for real, we're actually going to, make your life harder if you continue, if you do in Rafah what you did in, why am I talking about this? Wait a minute. Hold on. IDF? I'm like cued into my Gaza mode here. This has nothing to do with Ukraine. I just realized, wow, I'm just like, my head, dude. I don't know what's wrong with my head. Anyway, I'll show you the footage here because it's shocking. But yeah, I mean, this, okay, anyway, I don't understand why my head's today. Well, there you go. Streamer prank confirmed. Yeah, no, I'm news like burned out or something. I don't know. I had to take a break yesterday. I wasn't feeling that great, so maybe I should have taken another break. But it's like I can't go 2 whole days without streaming, and then I'll lose my entire audience. Isn't that how it works? Okay, yeah. So I'm skipping that. Okay.
In the last hour,
turning the brain off and on again. Is that with like alcohol? I don't drink much. Yeah, and here's another one about Gaza. What is I must have been Yeah, okay, back to Ukraine. Oh, real professional. Guys, this is called Professional Stream. We do professional news around here, okay? I don't want to hear no shit talking, okay? Russia is preparing 100,000 soldiers for a possible summer offensive, Ukraine says. So we've been hearing a lot about this, that Russia is preparing another mobilization that isn't a mobilization for the war that isn't a war. But no, it's now a war now. Russia is amassing 100,000 troops ahead of a potential summer offensive, the commander of Ukraine's ground forces said on Friday. Quote, "We do not know Russia's plans to the fullest extent. We only know that the data that they have and what they are creating. They are creating groups, more than 100,000, Lieutenant General Oleksandr Pavluk said on Ukrainian TV. Quote, "It will not necessarily be an offensive. Perhaps they will use it to replenish their units that are losing their combat capability," he said. So it's not enough to, you know, it's not enough troops for a second invasion or like to open up a second front. Likely it's enough troops to refresh the ones that are being slaughtered every single day on the Ukrainian front lines. 100K Russian summer offensive would get wrecked. I think it's more like 100K Russian defensive line upgrade, just my take. Looks like Business Insider agrees with you here. White Pride one, that was great. Okay. So wanted to show this because Indian news is forever fascinating. Then to invade Alaska during Ukraine and what real zero strategy of Russian already now Ukraine won for American aid. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and assume that English is not your first language, Sturpus. But no, any opportunity to show Indian news. Here we go. WION giving us an update.
All right, let's shift our focus now. Russia is gaining momentum in its assault on Ukraine amid stalled Western aid. How will this play out on ground? What's the situation currently? Shivan gets you all the details. Over to you, Shivan.
Ever since that deadly attack on Moscow, everyone was expecting the onslaught on Ukraine to increase even further, and that's exactly what we are seeing now. Now, in the latest, Ukrainian officials say that 19 people were wounded in Kharkiv in the latest strikes since Russia's full-scale invasion, some of which have caused blackouts as well. And Russia is gaining momentum in its assault on Ukraine amid stalled Western aid, making the coming months critical to the direction of conflict. And now, Moscow seems to be using a new flying bomb. Here's all you need to know about that. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the Kharkiv attack as Russian terror. Moscow's willingness to take territory in the face of the high casualties and a boost in output of artillery shells is in contrast with a lack of sustained Western supply of artillery ammunition to Kiev. Now, Volodymyr Timoshko, head of Kharkiv Regional Police, stated that Moscow may have used a new type of guided bomb.
Hey, you know, India, I think India is on the fence. I think we could totally convince India to drop Russia if we just, you know, sweeten the deal, make it sweet enough. I think we can get Modi over to our side. But the problem with Modi is that he's an extremist. So a lot of the time extremists don't really care what's, you know, most beneficial for their country. You know, they have their own motivations, so.
Which he described as the UMPB D30. Head of the Kharkiv Regional Police said, and I'm going to quote here, "This is something between a guided aerial bomb, which they have used recently, and a missile." Now, it's a flying bomb, so to say, in a way. Now, Kharkiv Regional Governor Ole also suggested that Moscow may have used a new type of bomb. He said it seems that the Russians decided to test their modified bombs on the residents of the houses. Now, let's take a closer look at Russia's new flying bomb, the UMPB.
Yeah, so Coherent Screams, I reported that some of the sanctions are starting to kick in. And there's been a reduction of Indian oil purchases from Russia.
D30. The UMPB could be a method of adapting an unguided bomb into a precision munition with a degree of standoff range. As per the war zone, the UMPB appears to be a Russian effort to field a lower-cost standoff precision strike weapon. Now, such a weapon could provide the ability to strike targets surgically behind the front lines without having to use far more expensive and long-reaching weapons.
So a drone
Tactical
bomb?
standoff missiles in this class have seemingly been in relatively short supply as Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine drags on into the third year. One-way attack drones like the Shahed 136 are also better used for longer-range coordinated strikes and are more vulnerable to air defenses. It's also possible that
I think I heard somewhere as well that these strikes would be less successful had the anti-air systems that we gave Ukraine if they were properly equipped. Apparently, some of these systems are out of ammo or extremely low on ammo.
the UMPB could be used in the decoy role, equipped with a radar, reflector, and possibly an expendable electronic warfare payload. This will help guide bombs and other munitions make it to their targets, as well as stimulate air defense so they can be targeted. Now, over the spring and summer, Russia is likely to mount attacks designed to inflict casualties and push defenders westward and expand control of occupied territories even further.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, unless Mike Johnson wants to do something. It's so pathetic that our partisan politics in the United States is causing real battlefield, you know, deaths right on the front line. You know, it's such a clear example of how politics can affect real life. Is Strupus just trying to, is he trying to SEO my channel? Is he trying to search engine optimize my channel? Is that what's going on here? Moscow attacks. Zelensky calls Putin scumbag over tying concert massacre to Ukraine. So, yeah, that is one thing that I forgot to mention, is that, of course, Putin is trying to desperately connect these religious extremists. Like Russia doesn't, you know, like the only enemy of Russia is Ukraine. You know what I mean? Like Russia doesn't have enemies all over the world. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, a lot of groups that have a lot of problems with Russia. It's not just Ukrainians. Of course, the world sees that, but that doesn't really matter. It's never really mattered. The truth has never really mattered since the very beginning, right? Almost all this propaganda that we see, this absurd propaganda, especially that we see from Russia, is usually directed at the local audience, right? And regardless of whether it's true or not, in geopolitics, the truth of something matters less than the ramifications of the actions taken afterwards, if that makes any sense. They say politics is just war in another form. Oh, indeed.
Ще одне, те, що сталося вчора в Москві. Очевидно, і Путін, і інші покидьки просто намагаються звалити все це на когось іншого. У них завжди однакові методи. Це вже було. І підірвані будинки були, і розстріли, і вибухи, і завжди. Вони звинувачують інших. Вони сюди, на українську землю, нагнали сотні тисяч терористів свої, воюють проти нас, і їм все одно, що відбувається всередині їхньої ж країни. Вчора ще все це сталося, і ця нікчема абсолютна Путін, замість того, щоб займатися своїми громадянами Росії, звертатись до них, добу мовчав, думав, як це притягнути до України. Все абсолютно передбачено. Тих сотень тисяч росіян, які зараз вбивають на українській землі, точно вистачило би, щоб зупинити будь-які
right.
І якщо росіяни готові мовчки вмирати в крокусах та не ставити жодних питань своїм спецслужбам, то Путін не одну таку ситуацію спробує повернути на користь своїй особистій владі.
China Taiwan Economic Agreement, Indonesian Coffee World Shrink Civilization. Woke Patriots schizo posting like the other guy. Everyone just starts schizo posting in my chat. Everyone just loses their mind. Okay, so we saw the Indian news cover this, so we don't need to cover that twice. Yeah, so I wanted to show this because it's an exclusive interview with Zelensky, like sitting in the rubble of an apartment complex destroyed by Russia, you know, being interviewed by CBS. And, you know, I just want to give him a hug. I just want to give him a hug, man. I'm so sorry about the Republicans. But, you know, we should not allow Joe Biden off the hook here. While Ukrainians have been dying on the front lines because they don't have enough equipment, the Israeli army has been able to select from a special catalog that allows them to, you know, get whatever the hell they want. You know, while Joe Biden is wagging his fingers, he's literally sending $4 billion of additional aid. I mean, Israel is like embarrassing the United States. It was Anthony? No, it was Kirby. It was John Kirby who was over there, literally trying to tell, you know, trying to make a deal with the IDF and Bibi Netanyahu about not invading Rafah. And he literally, like, while he's there after the meeting, walks up to like a microphone an hour later, and it's like, "Oh, we're totally invading. We're totally invading." Okay, we're talking about Gaza again. We're gonna get to Gaza tomorrow. Okay, that one made sense. That one wasn't just a total non sequitur. That one wasn't a total non sequitur. That one actually made sense. Anyway, let's get to it here. Interview with Zelensky on CBS.
Ukraine's military says it shot down 26 of 28 Russian drones launched in an overnight attack. 2 women were reportedly injured by falling debris in the south of Ukraine.
And we will
Meanwhile,
be reporting
Kyiv
on that
claiming Russia used a new type of guided bomb in an airstrike over Kharkiv, killing at least 1 person yesterday. And as the war in Ukraine rages on, our Charlie D'Agata got an exclusive interview with the country's president, Volodymyr Zelensky.
There's no indication that President Putin will ever give up. Can you win while he's still alive or in power?
Welcome back, Big Room.
Yes, because when he will lose our territory.
That response was great, dude.
Yes, because when he will lose our territories, even small villages, village by village, he will lose support in Russia. And for us, it's enough.
And
so that calculus can be hand waved away until Donbass or Crimea are reclaimed. Then you will actually see the Ukrainian response affect Russia politics. Ukraine taking back Avdiivka, Ukraine taking back Bakhmut. That'll be lost in the wash and easily hand waved away. But Ukraine completely taking back the Donbass, Ukraine completely, starting to, doing a liberation of Crimea, crossing the swamps and actually getting into Crimea properly. The Ukrainian military, not just drones, not just HIMARS. That would absolutely affect Russian politics, no doubt about it.
News senior foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata joins us now with more on this interview. Charlie, such a powerful.
I don't want to see. I don't know. He looks so expensive. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't want to hear what he has to say, quite frankly.
Also wants to send a message to Russia, but yes, when you speak to him, he stays on that message because he remains convinced that if he gets it,
he looks pissed and frustrated, and he's like, "Okay, how many of these jerk-off interviews with jerk-offs with pearly white teeth do I need to actually do before you assholes kick it in gear?"
Enough supplies, if he gets the weaponry, if Ukraine itself can put its industry in place, that the economy is working, that they can start affording these things, they can make their own weapons, then they will be a formidable enemy against Russia. And what he says is, in the past, we've already done this. There have been...
I see. So this is... okay. But, you see what I'm saying? He's frustrated, but he's still, he's more... When's the last time you saw Putin? Look at this. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he went from like super intense talking about it, and then he's like, okay, he's trying to bring the energy down. He's still a human being.
Start affording these things.
He's so much more human than Putin is, just from my own observation. I know I'm kind of being biased
here. They can make their own weapons,
but
then they will be a formidable enemy against.
He seems very human. Anytime Putin is outside, he presents himself like a Stalin-esque robot. Yes, thank you. Let me explain things to you. They're like. Very little
Russia,
emotion.
and what he says is, in the past we've already done this. There have been counteroffensives that
you
have
think
been.
This is acting? Coherent? You really think this is him acting? You think you think this response right here is some kind of coached response right here?
President
Does
Putin
this look like a
will ever
coached
give up.
response? A well thought out and manipulative response to you?
Can you win while he's still alive or in power?
Yes.
Is that, you know, I don't, I'm just, I see, yeah, I used to be a comedian, I guess. This man, ironically, this politician is one of the most, I don't know about most, but he's more willing to show his human side than I would say a grand majority of leaders of various other countries. Maybe that's just because of the vulnerable position that his country is in, though. But yeah, I mean, look, he's still a politician, especially a politician connected, you know, that had to navigate through the extremely corrupt Ukrainian political system that was poisoned by the Russian government, you know. So there's, yeah, all right, you know.
And what he says is, you know, in the past,
I'm not trying to suck his dick, is what I'm trying to. I'm trying to be nuanced and not try to suck his dick here, right? But I'm just trying to give him credit for being more human than your average Joe in his position.
Already done this. There have been counteroffensives that have been very successful in pushing Russian forces back, and he believes that can happen again. However, the reality on the ground tells a much different story. You know, Bakhmut has fallen, Avdiivka has fallen, villages around there have fallen. We've gone to a place we were hoping to meet him on the front lines. We couldn't do that because it was too dangerous and unpredictable for him and his team, naturally. So he's facing a very difficult time, which is why he's reaching out to the United States for more support.
Yeah, okay. All right. I wanted to show this next clip here. I didn't actually watch it because I'm a very good journalist. So I'm not sure if this is valuable or not. But I wanted to see if this person was actually going to give us some real information to defend this statement here, saying Ukraine's defenses are thin. So why is Russia not winning? It's my understanding that, you know, in the cases of like Bakhmut and Avdiivka, while sacrifices were being made to hold those positions as long as humanly possible, strategically possible, I guess, very strong trench lines were built, you know, that prevented a further expansion of Russia after their occupation was complete of those areas. So Ukrainians' defenses are thin. Are they just talking about the ammo shortage? Because last time I checked, they're building like really deep, reinforced, strong trenches all over the place, you know, kind of similar to what Russia is doing.
Pop quiz. Which of the following is the odd one out? Annoyingly superior cartoon hound Snoopy?
Okay, I'm good, dog. I'm good. I'm actually good. If you want to watch this bullshit, you go ahead and click on that. I'm sorry I wasted your time. Let's go ahead and get to our final video of the day. Our good friends over there at Reporting from Ukraine going to give us a map update so we get a frontline, we get some of that frontline information about what the hell is actually happening here. Snoop canceled. Yeah, you open up with the fucking snapping and clicking and the goddamn millennial ukulele and you start talking about motherfucking Snoopy from the goddamn Peanuts. I'm out. All right, so here we go from 1 day ago. Phenomenal job. Ukrainians incinerate all Russian reinforcement.
Today there are...
Link to that Telegraph clip. I wanted a real report, not a puff piece. Some people need a puff piece. Coherent screams, right? Like, you know, hey, look, as political activists, we have to understand that we're changing the minds of normies. So we have to deliver messages that normies can understand. And and we need normies to be on the side of Ukraine. I love Snoopy. Snoopy's great. It's a really fun PlayStation 2 game where you get to fly around as Snoopy. It's great. It's called The Red Baron. Buy it today. I love Snoopy. He's awesome. I'm talking about Ukraine. You know, like I'm trying to be, you know, but that's me. That's like, you know, Mr. Political Head here. I can't, you know, brains are sputtering today, but you know what I mean? Normies need a millennial ukulele and a happy snappy and Snoopy comparisons. They need that. They need it. Okay? Look, if you got a 5-year-old that needs to take his medicine, no one's going to judge you if you mix in a little honey and sugar with that medicine, right? He's a very one-dimensional character, I guess Snoopy, one would say, but he's fine. He's cute. He's a dog. He sits on a. Come on, we're gonna. There's. Leave Snoopy alone. Welcome back, Trailhead.
Today there are a lot of updates from the Liman direction.
Is like Lucy.
Here, Russians have been continuously assaulting Ukrainian positions in an attempt to reach the Ukrainian settlements along the Zherebets River. The main goal of the Russians is to take control of the Ukrainian city and logistics hub of Lyman. However, as Russians came to realize, this would be far more difficult than expected, as they first have to cross the heavily defended Zherebets River, over which Ukrainians have established a strong logistics network that allows them to fend off most Russian assaults. Furthermore, any Russian...
They haven't been sitting on their hands. You know, they haven't been just like, oh, you know, waiting for, you know, standing out in the open, waiting for Uncle Sam to drop an ammo drop on them. You know, they've been changing strategy.
Assaults that threaten to overwhelm Ukrainian defenders are then quickly counterattacked by quick reaction forces or Ukrainian soldiers from the forest, making it an intense but even battle.
That's a juicy fucking
As
target.
you may remember, the last Russian mechanized assault waves ended in complete disaster for the Russians. They did not manage to come even close to the settlements and were completely destroyed already on the approach.
Was that
in an
the footage
attempt
that we
to
saw
adapt
recently?
their strategy to the current situation, Russian forces now use their armor to transport infantry as close to the forest as possible and drop the infantry off, who then carry out the assault themselves while the armored vehicle quickly retreats. These infantry groups then move through the tree lines and take up concealed positions in the forest in an attempt to accumulate.
And we see this in the video, them just kamikazing, like, you know, just, you know, as many troops as possible on top of these APCs and filled, you know, inside the APC as well, trying to get up there, and then they disembark as quickly as possible, trying to take and hold positions. Garfield's my boy. I like Garfield. Used to read a lot of Garfield comics when I was a kid. World War I stalemate on the front lines now, I think. There's a lot of really crazy similarities, right? And it's not like it's because of technology. It's so interesting, right? Because it has nothing to do with our advanced technology, you know, clashing and like, you know, like civilizations coming to a head and we just can't kill each other because we just can't find a way to get, you know, advantage over one or the other. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with fucking wimpy ass geopolitics. You know, a bunch of fucking leaders from a bunch of fucking countries wringing their hands and worried about, you know, this and that. It's a failure of leadership.
With the tree lines and take up concealed positions in the forest
One should
in an
be
attempt to
careful with
accumulate
war.
forces to
I
launch
understand
large-scale
that.
infantry assaults.
Right. Okay, I understand the trepidation. I get the caution. I get the carefulness. Okay? But I've said it before. We're standing there with our pants down, dick halfway in. What are we talking about escalation? What are we talking about escalation? You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it was all good. It was all good until the U.S. relieved the Ukrainian troops at the north. Oh, and then Putin started dropping the nukes. It was too much. I don't buy it.
However, for such assaults to have any chance
Political
of success without armored
geologistics.
support,
That's pretty
Russians
cool,
need to
though.
rely on intensive artillery bombardments
I like
to
that.
undermine Ukrainian positions and prepare for the assaults. Unfortunately for Russians, Ukrainians understood the Russian predicament
It's a
and decided to
geopolitics.
take immediate preemptive action.
I like geologistics.
They used
too.
FPV drones and precision artillery
Oh, look
to
at this
perform counter-battery
badass
fire
bitch.
on Russians when
Oof.
they opened fire on Ukrainian positions. Geolocated footage
then you
also
don't
shows
show it
that the
firing.
Ukrainian
Oh, you
45th
suck.
Artillery Brigade successfully destroyed a Russian heavy mortar Tulip, 2 D-20 howitzers, and 2 D-30 howitzers, all in one operation. The Ukrainian 45th Artillery Brigade also worked together with drone operators from the 63rd Mechanized Brigade to destroy.
Man, I love how much work this guy puts. I'm sorry, I didn't even know I was blocking the screenshot. Sorry. I love how much work this guy puts into, you know, all the reporting. If you want even more of this, you know, you could follow. He has a special, you know, Patreon And he gets even deeper into these map analyses if you're really into that.
Another Russian heavy mortar Tulip, an artillery munition depot, a D-20 howitzer, and 3 more D-20 howitzers the day before. The Ukrainian 63rd Brigade.
I'm really happy we have a schizophrenic in the chat. It's so much fun. America involved in World War I, 116,000 ripped soldier during 1917, joining 1 year. This about casualties. Then to American logistic change German domination of Europe. Oh, yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Also destroyed a heavy mortar Tulip on their own with an FPV kamikaze drone.
Coherent, yeah.
The Ukrainian Predator drone detachment from the border police also
it just devolves into fucking melee combat. the stalemate, whittles down into fucking people with swords out in the front lines.
Formed 2 successful hits on Russian artillery, destroying 1 heavy mortar Tulip and 1 multiple launch rocket system Grad with FPV kamikaze drones. The large number of Russian Tulip heavy mortar systems, which use heavy shells to undermine defensive positions, shows that Russians are primarily focused on destroying the Ukrainian fortifications before moving in with their infantry. Ukrainian forces did not stop there, and while their artillery crews were busy destroying any Russian artillery in the region that dared to open fire, Ukrainian drone operators aimed to destroy any Russian vehicle trying to cross the fields between Kreminna and the settlements along the river. Geolocated footage shows Ukrainian drone operators from the 23rd Rifle Battalion destroying an assault group consisting of 2 tanks and 2 infantry fighting vehicles with FPV kamikaze drones. The Ukrainian 60th Mechanized Brigade also destroyed 2 Russian armored personnel carriers with mines, 3 more with FPV drones, and a T-72 tank with an FPV kamikaze drone. Drone operators from the 63rd Mechanized Brigade were also heavily active in the area, destroying 2 armored personnel carriers and 1 infantry fighting vehicle with kamikaze drones. Ukrainian drone operators from the 100th Territorial Defense Brigade and 12th Special Purpose Brigade were also operating from the forest and destroyed 2 Russian transport trucks, an armored car Tiger, which is a Russian version of the Hummer.
And these screenshots are not doing some of these videos justice. I've seen some of these. This one is the drone is approaching. Dude, the APC is filled with soldiers. They're just sitting up there like desperately trying to shoot. Pretty common. I've seen at least 5 clips of different APCs fully loaded, desperately trying to shoot like a little black dot. I mean, you're on a truck, you're moving like this, and you're trying to shoot, this thing coming in at 30, 40 miles per hour. Just get off, just jump. If I was a soldier, I wouldn't even, if I saw a drone approaching. The APC that I was sitting on, I would just jump off the goddamn thing.
And an infantry fighting vehicle along the road to Torsk with FPVs.
Doesn't seem like,
Despite the intensity of drone operations, Russians still managed to accumulate themselves in the forests.
You totally would, yeah. With birdshot.
However, the attacks of these understrength Russian assault groups were doomed to be suicidal because they were suffering from a critical lack of reinforcements and armored and artillery support.
So the lack of reinforcement, lack of artillery and armor support, still sending them in. Just meat waves. You got nothing behind you. You got nothing, man. Imagine, dude.
While Ukrainians counterattacked them with their own infantry fighting vehicles, artillery, and drone-dropped munitions.
We'll try it again.
Eventually, after 3 weeks of heavy fighting in the area and enormous Russian casualties, Russian forces barely managed...
it does work. See? It only took 14 different waves of, we only lost... Well, shoot, we lost less than 500 troops. This is great progress. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable that the Russian people. Could you imagine the backlash if this happened in America? Barack Obama felt perfectly happy dropping drone bombs on families in Iraq and Afghanistan, because he shifted to a drone war strategy because it was great. You get all the brutality of your war adventures without having to sacrifice any troops. Because normally when you lose troops, especially in a brutal and callous manner like this, it's actually bad for your politics. But Putin has completely insulated himself as the supreme dictator of Russia. And this almost lazy strategy that has become the de facto strategy. Just wave after wave after wave of human beings, right? And then eventually, only because the one side fucking runs out of ammo, are you able to then break through. And I've checked the Discord for the footage. These Russian soldiers are walking along, and dozens of bodies all along the path that they're walking, going forward. Bodies of their fellow soldiers, of the failed attempts. And they just keep going, man. They just keep going. I don't know how you take another step forward. Seeing the carnage, like, whoa, this is what's going to happen to me in a couple hours. I'm going to get ripped to shreds. And then, like, 9 times out of 10, it does. Maybe you're the lucky 1 out of 10 group that pushes through. That the Ukrainian side finally runs out of ammo or finally slips up, and you finally push through. Maybe if you're lucky. Right, only to then be part of the next group that gets wiped out. Right, so your victory is, you get a couple days victory, and then if you're lucky, knowing Russia, you probably, to secure the victory here, you probably have to get right on the front line, dig a trench or take over an existing trench. You probably have to immediately get to work after busting your ass, and they do it. They do it, man. I don't get it. I mean, you got to be broke. You got to be super poor. You got to be super broke and super desperate to put yourself through this so that your family gets a paycheck. I couldn't understand any other motivation outside of, the love of one's family to try to give them a better life.
To take control of the forest in the northern valley east of Terni, giving Russians partial control over the hill in between.
It's not
However,
the only.
if we look at the topographic map, we can see that any Russian attack from this.
You're not going to win a war with troops that are cowards. We saw with the Afghanistan, with America and the Afghanistan army, tons of logistics, everything that they could possibly need. They folded in 14 hours. Right? They had all the fanciest of toys. Every opportunity given to their army folded in 14 hours. They had no backbone, no courage. They didn't even know what they were fighting for. So it's important, but it's not the only important element to a successful battle strategy.
Forest towards Terni would be vulnerable to a Ukrainian flank attack from the hill above. As such, the only real tactical gain for Russians over these last 3 weeks has been slightly securing the flank of the largest forest in front of the settlement, of which Russians still only control half. A Russian military blogger stated that while Ukrainians still control the settlements themselves, Russian forces now hold the initiative to perform simultaneous attacks on both Terni and Yampolivka in the near future. However, such an assault would have to cover a vast amount of open fields, which are tightly visually controlled by Ukrainian drone operators, allowing Ukrainians to be well prepared for an attack and possibly intercept the convoy long before they reach the contact line. Moreover, any large infantry assault from the forests is subject to Ukrainian fire and counterattacks from nearly all sides. Overall, the intense Ukrainian counter-battery fire, jointly with combined drone operations and strong positional fighting, completely drained the Russian assault groups of their offensive capabilities, preventing Russians from forcing a breakthrough toward the settlements. If Ukrainians manage to maintain the intensity of counter-battery fire and drone attacks, Russian forces will not be able to build up a sufficient amount of forces or momentum to further break Ukrainian lines and reach the settlements.
Yeah.
If you're against the invasion of Ukraine,
and folks, make sure you're checking out reporting from Ukraine's merch store. He's doing a legitimate amount of work, literally 9 to 5 in it over here, poring over this data so that he can make coherent reports for us to report on. So make sure you're liking and subscribing. And hey, if you want one of those Trident T-shirts, maybe consider picking one up from reporting from Ukraine. Great channel. Great channel. Been watching them from the beginning. Great channel. Great channel. All right, folks, that's all I got for Ukraine today. I think I've made my feelings pretty clear on the situation. Would like to remind all my new viewers that if you are frustrated with the lack of progress, if you're frustrated with the lack of results, then I would recommend you follow my 3-step program to create political change, to become a political activist. It's actually as easy as 1, 2, 3, believe it or not. And believe it or not, you've actually already completed step 1. You found the news underground. You're already curious about the world around you. Congratulations. You've completed step 1, which is inform yourself. You're doing it right now. Step 2, I need you to find something to believe in. Maybe it's single-payer healthcare. Maybe you're anti-war. Maybe you're pro-college education, right? Maybe you're pro-senior retirement. Whatever your passion is. Find an organization that needs your help and sign up. Put your name down. Maybe it's a progressive political activist organization, of which there are thousands. Maybe it's a politician that you really think is going to kick a lot of butt and you want to put your weight behind. Maybe it's a union that you want to support. Maybe that you're part of. Whatever it is, get your ass signed up and volunteer, because step 3, I'm going to need you to put in the work. That asshole whose name I couldn't remember earlier, Charlie Kirk, every single day of his life, 9 to 5 or even longer, he has dedicated his life, along with Steve Bannon and hundreds of others, to reducing our democracy, to diminishing our liberty, to installing a dictator. This is a 9 to 5 job for them. They don't sleep. They don't stop. They work on weekends. If the left ever wants to destroy fascism and the corporatism of the neoliberal left, if you want to call it that, if the progressive left wants to destroy these elements, we need to work just as hard, and in fact even harder, than the Steve Bannons of the world, the Charlie Kirks of the world. The only way to do that is to participate in political activism, aka my 3-step program. I am Abandoned Nihilism, aka the Harbinger, and you've been watching the News Underground. Big props to Coherent Screams, Strippus, our schizo poster. Big props to Chem Goblin, the Ponder Monkey. Big old props to Woke Patriot. Props to Trailhead. Double props to Chem Goblin. Thank you for all those wonderful links. Davey, thank you, Davey, for your contributions in Discord. Sorry we couldn't make it. Strategy member, big props to Strategy member. The Big Room. Thank you, The Big Room. Big props to you. Woke Patriot, once again, big props, Woke Patriot. Real dapper looking son bitch right there, that Woke Patriot. Ribbons, big props to you, Ribbons. If you want to see some of these handsome members of the News Underground, make sure you check out the Discord. Ice King of Space, Mashed Potato. Thank you, Mashed Potato. I think we had a couple follows today, at least one follow. Thank you for that follow earlier. Digital 2 Noise, I think you were my follow. Digital 2 Noise, thank you for coming in. Big props to you. The C. Fort Putin, I don't know how to say your name. You seemed all right. Thank you for coming in. C4. Oh, this is a great breakdown. Listen to this. Listen to this. That bunch of sparks free-falling with Lope Player. It's the sound of the underground, folks. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to this wonderful underground music. You know, buy their cassette tapes that they sell for some reason. Means the captain. I'm gonna call him C4 because that's cool. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. Motherfuck you, Putin. Put me on your little list, bitch. Peace out.